The Bachelorette brought us the sexiest episode yet until we were thrust down a hole of darkness as we watched Will sob. It's time for Roses and Rose. Hey, you guys! Oh my God, I'm wearing blue like the ocean because the Bachelorette finally gave me what I had been asking for. Color, sexuality, glam, yes! Guys, did this episode make you feel invested in the show again? Let me know. I was ill last week, but this week I'm feeling revitalized, replenished, just like the beach will do to someone, and just like it did to this show this week. And I've got a big old glass of my favorite brand of rosé. Let's get to it. I have so much to talk about. So first of all, ocean, shots of the ocean, blue ocean, colors. Even Becca cannot deny. She says, quote,
"It is absolutely breathtaking. The bluest waters I've ever seen."
Yes, after last week's episode, this is exactly what we needed. Just when we're hanging on by a thread of fandom, this show comes through. But don't drink every time Becca says she's never been here before.
My first time.
Becca also tells Chris that she's hoping for no drama.
No drama?
But Becca, again, we need some drama. We need to stir some stuff up. We need some drama, oh Rama. We need a pina colada of drama in the Bahamas, okay? Thank you. And luckily we got it. More to come. So, I'm also going to call out a little bit this episode, you guys. Not only did the shots and the visuals and the dates look better, but Becca looked great. Her makeup looked gorgeous in the Bahamas. And I just think that's so impressive because it was probably the most difficult climate in which to work with said hair and makeup. So great. So things are going to start right away, and Colton gets the one-on-one, and Blake's not happy about it, and Garrett's not. Everybody's making a face. Everybody's unhappy. This is the way the game works, guys. Speaking of how I always, not really meaning to, but forget Colton a little bit, I forgot that Colton still hasn't told Becca he's a virgin. So that's going to be a big thing on this date.
Virginity, virginity. I am a virgin. Virginity thing. Virginity.
The guys are acting like it's this big deal for him to tell Becca this. Colton's very nervous about how she'll react. You guys, tell me what you would say if someone you were on a date with and had been dating told you that they were a virgin. Would it be some kind of problem for you? I really want to know what you think. I also want to take a moment to commend another visual. Will's and Garrett in these shirt prints. I mean, Will's especially. You guys, he is a grown man working an animal print collared shirt. And that will not be the last Will's look that we look at this episode. I'm sorry for all the puns. I'm just in such a good mood because it was such a good episode. So, Becca says to Colton,
How do you feel about catamarans?
how do you feel about catamarans? And I just laughed right out loud at that because what a weirdly specific question. Have you ever asked anyone that? You guys let me know in the comments, what would your answer be? How do you feel about catamarans? I just feel glad that we're going on a boat with a shirtless man. Catamaran. More puns. Anyway, so as we know, Becca is very physically attracted to Colton. She says he could pick me up
And do whatever
he wants to do. Well, LOL, because we don't know if Colton knows what to do. Anyway, another shout out. Becca is looking great in this orange swimsuit. It is actually by a line called Becca Swim. I'm not plugging the line. I'm not paid to say that. I just thought that was funny. So they're getting snuggly and sexy and doing that King of the World thing that we got to do at least once a season in this franchise. And a man arrives on a yellow boat just as Colton is seemingly about to tell Becca the news.
Virgin.
And then turns out everything that's going to be said is pretty much penis jokes.
You need the pistol, the Bahamian Viagra.
The Bahamian Viagra?
Viagra, yes.
It's not a bad word to say. It's just it's a word. It's a reality.
You'll be able to please her and not tease her.
Don't drink every time they make a conch joke pun, you guys.
She needs a little conch in her life right now.
Let's get that conch. I'm just hoping Colton dives deep for that conch. Oh my God, so much conch. Diving for conch is much harder than I ever could have thought. My conch is out, ready for action. He really knows how to work that conch. Oh, he's got a little one.
Yes, eight conch nether region sex joke puns. Wonderful.
Isn't this nice?
Yes.
This place is insane.
And then we go to dinner. And at dinner, Colton does tell Becca that he's a virgin.
Really?
And he says, this was a little confusing to me. He says only a handful of people know.
You know, I'm not even sure, to be honest with you. My dad knows.
Whoa, I've been so into how fun this episode is, I haven't drank any rosé yet. Let me catch up with myself.
You know, I'm not even sure, to be honest with you. My dad knows.
Colton tells Becca he's not even sure if his dad knows. Well, he knows now. Did you tell him before this episode on national television? I really want to know. I tweeted Colton and asked him. I'll get the answer.
Can you excuse me for 1 second?
Okay.
Becca takes this news in and they show her getting up for a second, leaving Colton after his vulnerable reveal. And here's the thing, guys. While that was great TV, Becca took to Twitter and said that she was just going to the bathroom, and Colton subtweeted her and said, confirmed there was no disrespect. So the power of editing made for a great episode, but also we've used Twitter to debunk the fake news.
I want to meet the people who made Colton underwear.
Okay, Colton gets a rose. He's going to hometowns. Then we cut to Garrett and Becca on a seaplane. Wonderful. They're going to go island hopping, I think. We're swinging around. We're on the island swing. Great. I do wonder if Becca was getting touch-ups during this, because at one point she had her hair in a messy bun and she was still looking so great. I'm also trying to find this answer out. Was she fixing herself up? It just seems so humid.
I'm not perfect. I know you're not perfect. The world's not perfect. But I think that we can be perfect together.
Then Garrett does some imperfect math about being perfect. That makes no sense, Garrett. The math isn't there. If neither of you is perfect, why would you be perfect? Am I being cynical? I didn't get the equation, and it's adding up to a lot of question marks for me. Some of you noted that I have not been talking that much about Garrett's Instagram scandal. Well, let me talk about it right now. He apologized for it. I thought his apology could have been better. I think that he needs to own what he did on social media, and that when you like a post, it is kind of an endorsement of how you feel. So I'm excited to hear from Garrett more, and I don't want to place judgment on him now because I haven't even met him yet, and he's certainly not been convicted of a crime like Lincoln was, so there is a differentiation there for me. But I did think of the Instagram scandal tonight because Becca asked Garrett,
Are you still Twitter-pated around me?
and I had no idea what this meant. And I was like, well, this would be funny if it's a Twitter thing and he had this social media scandal. But no, then someone told me it's a reference to the movie Bambi.
Twitter-pated?
Which was around far before any social media.
Nearly everybody gets Twitter-pated in the springtime.
Anyway, so have you guys forgiven Garrett for his Instagram scandal? Let me know how you feel. Again, I just want to get to know a little bit more about him at this point. Blake gets a one-on-one, and Blake and his palm tree shirt were barely holding on, he said. So good thing he got one, because it had been a minute for him. Blake and his palm tree shirt are relieved. Jason and his big cross he's wearing are praying for more time with Becca. Leo and his tank top are sweating over what's going on, and Wills and his red pants are on fire because they all have to deal with a 3-on-1. I told you guys. I'm gonna drink every time I myself am going too over the top.
But she's like so hot-blooded and like screaming and yelling.
And then Garrett gets into his ex-wife. And he really, from whatever they showed of this conversation, maybe more got edited out, but really kind of blamed her for their divorce entirely, saying the problem with his ex was that she was a hothead.
From the very beginning of the relationship, she would act out like that.
But Garrett tells Becca that he's falling in love with her, and don't drink every time Becca says that she likes seeing different sides of someone, because that was her thing this episode. So everybody's falling in love. We're at that stage of the show. And then we get something sexy. Becca gives Garrett a rose, and then they frolic in the water. Oh, I'm just glad about that. I'm just glad we got it. I'm getting glam. I'm getting good, different looks from both Becca and the guys. I'm getting drama. I'm getting emotional reveals. I'm getting sexiness in the water. Oh, everything I wanted. Then we are gonna get Blake's one-on-one. And while we got Colton's big admission this episode, perhaps the most important reveal is that the group, the Bahamas, is still around and that they have a new song. Great. I didn't catch the name, but I want to commend Blake for his dancing, because he's a larger man and he was really getting out there and moving, and I like a guy who dances. I say, even if you're a bad dancer, I'd rather you dance poorly than not at all. It's about effort. So Blake seems surprised that Becca has feelings for other guys. And Blake, I know it's been a minute for you, and so you're feeling a little insecure, but that is the show. What's interesting, though, is that Becca then just straight up says that she feels the most strongly about Blake, which took me aback because she, again, just hasn't seen him in so long. I do wonder if some of their moments have been edited out, because that felt a little bit out of left field. What do you guys think? Was that a surprise for you to hear that Becca has the strongest feelings for Blake, and she only gets more into it? But first, a family overshare. Don't drink every time you get a family overshare this episode. We had Colton revealing his dad doesn't know he's a virgin, Garrett revealing that his ex-wife is some kind of hothead, and now Blake is revealing that his parents divorced when he was in high school because his mom had an affair with his coach. Wow. God, I hope these families got heads up before all this. This is quite a lot. I'm gonna drink for Blake's mom. That's a lot.
And so if I've learned anything, it's that I want the openness.
And I like that. I like that instead of, I think when we're faced with adversity, we can often become just like the problem, or we can decide to be different. And Blake decided to be different, and he wants to have a very open family. And I think that's great.
Becca, I am in love with you.
Then Blake tells Becca he is in love with her. And at first I was like, whoa, Blake, this is a lot. Everybody else is just at the falling in love stage. But then, drink every time my mind was blown. Becca says,
You're gonna make my heart burst
says that she wants to hear him say it
over and over again.
My heart just recognizes his, and then says
Feeling the exact same way.
she is in love with him. She just can't tell him.
It's so difficult to hold back.
I was blown away, you guys. I did not see that coming. Did you? Becca is in love with Blake. That changes the way I'm looking at everything. Oh, this show. Makes it interesting to think about how things will end up, doesn't it? Because I've kind of been saying Blake for Bachelor. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Here we go. So now we have the 3-on-1, and Wills is willing that he will get a rose by wearing a tank top covered in flowers. This man's fashion choices are just so impressive. And on the 3-on-1, they're playing beach volleyball. I mean, after the catamaran and the seaplane, this seems pretty low effort on the part of production. And it feels strange, doesn't it? Because we now know she's in love with Blake, and then she's playing beach volleyball with these 3 dudes. So it feels a little low stakes to close the episode out with.
I was thinking about the last 3 days. It's not easy, right?
Jason, I love Jason more and more every week, you guys. He says to her of his feelings at the process at this point, quote,
You know what? It's not easy, but it's not supposed to be easy, right?
Thank you, Jason. Yes, you are on a TV show. Thank you for realizing that. Blake is having a problem with realizing that. And then Becca and Leo take a moment, and you guys, Leo's hair in this moment, it's been standout all season long, but to me, things went to another level here. I mean, that hair had a mind of its own once it got to the beach and the ocean breeze blowing backwards. Leo looked like a romance novel cover. And to just really highlight it, I'm gonna bring in our favorite romance cover model. On the Journey with JC this week is just about him recreating Leo's hair blown look. I love it.
Twitter faded.
So Becca breaks things off with Leo despite how great his hair looks. We knew this was coming, right? She's just so much further with the other guys. Leo's still great. And gosh, his bod looked great too. I mean, just props to Leo. I think he's wonderful. And that made it even more sad when they boated away past him and he was just walking on the beach alone and his hair was still kind of blowing. It felt like he'd been left behind, you know, when they leave someone behind on a 2-on-1 because they're a villain or something, and he wasn't. So, oh, Leo. We then go to the dinner portion of the date, and Jason and Wills are both there. And first, Wills gets kind of emotional talking about Becca to Becca, and then Becca basically explains,
Do I go with somebody that I feel strongly for, who's already all in, or do I go with somebody who I also feel strongly for, but I don't know if he's quite there with me yet.
And who will she send home? Wills. Oh, you guys, this was heart-wrenching. I mean, Wills is crying, and Becca's like whispering to him, saying, thank you for everything. And I couldn't believe Becca wasn't crying. How is she not crying? I was crying. Then Wills gets in the car, and he's crying more. He has to stop the car because he's crying so much. And that brings us to our last question of the night. Will Wills be the Bachelor? So after this happened, Wills for Bachelor was trending on Twitter, you guys. And I have to say, if you've been with me for a while, you know that, for example, on Rachel Lindsay's season, I was very hardcore. Peter Krause for Bachelor. Nobody else was really on my mind. Of course, we all know how that ended up. We didn't get him. But this season, I'm a little more torn. I really like Blake, but Wills has really grown on me. And I must say, I like Jason a lot, too. He's real funny. So Wills' emotional exit might bring him up a notch in terms of the race for Bachelor. And wouldn't it be wonderful to have our first Black Bachelor? What do you guys think? Who is a Bachelor frontrunner at this point for you? Thank you so much, everyone, for being here as we washed our blues from last week away with the bright blues of the Bahamian Ocean and with the conch. Pouring one out for the conch, everybody. I loved this episode of Becca Kufrin's season of The Bachelorette, and as always, want your thoughts. Please leave them in the comments below. Message me anytime. And here we go. We've got hometowns next week. Can't wait. Bye!